All right, home team. Welcome to another episode of Elevated and Chill, episode 8. I am your host, CJ, along with my co-host, Dougie Fresh. Dougie, what's going on, bro? How's everything?
Yo, bro, another day, another dollar. Ready for another great session of Elevated and Chill, bro.
Chill.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's episode 8. Like, I feel like the season is flying by, but every session with you has been great. We've been chilling,
hmm
we've been elevating ourselves, we've been feeling good. Everything,
hmm
all that is going well on my end. So, some life updates. This week was a little bit of a tough one. Work was a lot. We had a lot of projects going on that we were trying to launch and get into the ether, and we have a new CRO that we've been bringing on and kind of onboarding and everything. So that has been a lot of work. But hey, on the flip side, all the things positive with the girls and everything. So Dylan has been great. She was playing around earlier this week. We got her in the kick mat, and then we put her down on the floor, and she was rolling and going nuts and everything. And we got her a couple of new toys. There's
hmm
one that we were hanging up in the doorway here that she can like bounce around in now because she can
Yeah.
fully like hold her head up and everything. So it's like wild what she's doing now. And then she will be 6 months in a couple of weeks here, which is wild how fast time is flying. Super dad mom and mom mode over here with me and Jan,
hmm
but everything else is going great, man. Like I'm super excited for today's session. Chatting with the home team. I know we have a lot of great stuff in the hopper. A couple of great chill and ask questions, so it should be
Yep.
really good. What about you, man? How's everything going on your end?
Yeah, work was a lot. Work was definitely a lot this week. Just a lot of meetings and stuff like that. Just barely any time to get anything done, and there's also work to be done. So it's like, all right.
I feel that, bro. I
Um,
feel that.
Other than that,
Unnecessary meetings too.
yeah, I'm sometimes unnecessary. Been moving and grooving, on my dance shit. You know what I mean? Getting that, it's been kind of cool.
How was that
I
on Friday? What did you
uh,
guys get into?
so technically we graduated.
Ooh,
But yeah, so like we went into like the beginner to like the level one. So they did like a whole like, they call it like a graduation circle. So all like the quote unquote graduates got in the circle and we were all like dancing and freestyle and all that shit. So that was pretty dope.
nice.
So my feet are in excruciating pain, but we love that because dance
That
my
means
ass
you.
off.
That means you were
Dance,
fucking going for it, bro.
dance my ass, my dad definitely dance my ass off. So shout out to Vita, that's the dance studio I go to.
Nice.
Uh, Other than that,
Did you guys get a drink after the
yeah,
graduation
of
or no?
course. But
Nice.
I've been putting in 3 months of work, bro. Gotta remind myself with a nice
What'd
ice
you?
cold blue moon.
Ooh,
Nice
wow.
little, nice
Okay.
little blue moon. But it's
Did you
good.
get
Been
an orange peel with your blue moon or
gotta
no?
get the orange pill, bro. Gotta get the
Dude,
orange
that makes
pill.
that's like, Corona and lime. Like it literally blue moon and orange peel. Perfect. Perfect
Yeah,
combination, dude. I
it's
don't
the
know what it
combo.
does, why that is, like if it's the citrus that like kind of blends with
It's probably the
the
citrus.
wheat and
Yeah,
the barley and stuff, but like, dude, so good.
so
So
good. Yeah, and definitely just making like new friends at the studio too. So that's been kind of good. So that's kind of like a good relaxation from the work week. But other than
because you
that,
said that you guys like switch partners too, right? Like you're not like stuck on one partner.
yeah. So
Like,
what happens is that in class we switch partners, but like and they have this thing called a social. The social is basically like you're freestyling, so you grab anybody. You could dance with the instructors. You could dance with somebody that just got into a beginner class, or you could dance with somebody that's been there for like a year or so. So the social is kind of like a quote unquote like a freestyle, but in
yeah,
class we always switch. So technically you're always switching regardless of where you're at. But it just in the social, it's a little bit more like you're kind of like on your own. But that's kind of where you get better. It's like going, playing a pickup game in basketball. Like that's where
yeah.
you're gonna get better because you're really utilizing whatever you learned in practice in the game. So I mean, in these pickup games. So, sh shout out. Shout out to Via. That's where like I mentioned. That's where I go to. That's my dance studio. So they kind of
That's pretty
feel
cool though, dude, that you guys
yeah
get to like switch around and you're not like stuck with
yeah
like staying with one partner. It also is
Yeah,
like totally a vibe when you know like people dance differently too. Like everybody,
yeah,
like even though like dances are most of the time they're choreographed, like and
yeah.
or you're like following certain steps, like people always have like a different vibe. So when you
Bro,
find that person that you
that
can
you vibe
vibe
with.
with
Yeah.
like perfectly, then you come together and it's like awesome.
Yeah, I
So
mean, everything is like chemistry. So, I mean, like you and your partner are like a chemistry. If you're on like a dance team, like you're on like that's the chemistry right there. It's like a sport. Like if you don't have chemistry within your team, you're not really gonna go far. It's gonna be a lot of friction and all that
yeah,
stuff. So, yeah, definitely is a lot of meshing and chemistry. But nah, it was good. I had a good time. Like I said, I danced my ass off. So that was like kind of like a nice reliever at the end of the week, judging by the work week. Um, yeah, but other than that, just chilling. Life is life in. You know what I mean? Just staying afloat. And I'm definitely excited to be here. This is always a nice time at the end of the week to kind of wrap things up. And get looking forward to the next week. Hopefully, this week coming up is a better one for sure. Kind
positive
of
manifestation. That's what you got to do,
yes,
bro. Put
that's
in
what
the
you got to do.
positive mindset, positive thoughts out there, and the week will be better. That's for sure. So hopefully we can wrap this one up and go into next week feeling like solid, good, rested, relaxed, and chilled, and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. So hopping into our topics, wanted to bring this up. Streaming services have been a prevalent thing in our entertainment sector or in the entertainment industry. I have a bunch of streaming services that I watch. You probably the same home team, you guys the same thing. However, there's been a spin on things. There's a new platform called Bitmar. Is kind of in contention to with Netflix as like kind of like an alternative, and basically just a gist of what Bitmar is. It's powered by the Bing search engine, but it only has eyes for free streaming content. And you'll be able to use a far more user friendly interface to plug in channel, genre, actor, or a specific movie or TV show you had in mind. Then this content aggregator kind of searches out the web to find whatever you're looking for. The real question is it legal? Of course, it's legal. That's why it's in contention with Netflix. Um, you know, my question with this is, could this potentially kind of overshadow Netflix or all the other streaming services? Could it eliminate competition? Could this be a monopoly in the streaming world? What do you think, Dougie? And home team
I
chime in as well.
I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Netflix owns the market share. Like
Yeah,
they own all of that around streaming. Like they're the big streaming company. They're like an Apple. They're like a Microsoft. They own what it is and what people know about streaming. But the thing that they don't do well is aggregate all of the things that you want to watch in one area. So like this is where this Bitmark could really shoot up, right? Is that you type in what you want to watch and it pulls all these things from the web where on Netflix they have specific contracts like you only see certain shows, you're not
hmm
always seeing the shows that you want. Let's say for example you wanted to watch Survivor, not all the Survivor seasons are on Netflix because they're owned by
hmm
CBS and now they have a certain contract with them. So this could be like light years different
I had, yeah,
and ahead than what is going on now. And if I think the big thing that people um are looking for nowadays is one place to go, one spot to get everything that you need, right? Because that makes it easy. It's at your fingertips. It's instant gratification. You have what you want out of it and all that. And there's like 15 million freaking services now. We have
yeah.
Hulu, we have Disney Plus, we have Netflix, we have, Stars, we have
Peacock,
Showtime, Peacock, and
Paramount.
Paramount, and like Max, all of these places to stream and all of them have different shows. So if it was
Yeah,
that they either own or that they have contracts with. So if there's one spot where you can go and you can get everything that you want to see and it like it auto generated for you, that sounds pretty promising sitting at $15 a month, right? Because all these other ones,
Yeah.
like even with Netflix, I think it ranges between 12 and $25, depending on if you want commercials or not. But you know damn well you don't want any commercials while you're in the middle of streaming. Like then I'll just watch cable if that's the
Yeah.
case, right? So now you're
Uh-huh.
paying $25 just for Netflix, where this is $15 and you can get way more shows. The only other downside is that, Bing is like searching isn't amazing. Like I don't know who do you go to Bing when you're looking for
No.
like anything? Like you go to
No.
Google and then you search on Google, right? Like that was a coming up in like the digital marketing world. There we used to do like ads and stuff on Bing, right? Like those click ad, like Google click ads,
Yeah.
but they were Bing click ads, and you got no traction, like at all, no impressions,
No,
like
you don't.
anything. Like it's literally like 15% of the web traffic is going there. So that's
Yeah.
the only downside to this potentially getting big is that it's being backed by a searching service that is relatively lackluster, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if they were to like maybe shift to like maybe Yahoo, that would kind of like at least boost their maybe potentially um to gain a little bit more visibility in what content and what search engine and what search the consumer might be able to get. But I do the biggest thing here is this platform being an aggregator. That's like the
Hmm.
biggest thing because like it'll like be like a compilation of a lot of different TV shows and stuff like that. And you know, having multiple different streaming services is never really the right way to go. Even though kind of working in the media business is kind of good because you know you have different options
Hmm.
instead of just having this one monopoly that you kind of gotta rely on. So I think in that aspect, you know, like a media standpoint, it's kind of has its pros and cons. For the consumer, it's like I just want a one-stop shop. But
Yep.
me looking at it from like a media perspective, it's good that there is different vendors that have
Hmm.
different content due to the fact that we could, you know, all right, they don't have this, but they have this, so we can operate with them for this certain campaign because they might fit better versus another campaign. You know, Hulu might fit better, and then
Hmm.
and maybe a client comes down and you know Max might be a better fit. Like you just never know what could be a better fit. So that's like the from a business standpoint, that's like kind of
Yeah.
like the other side of things. But like being strictly a consumer, you're absolutely right. There's definitely I would love a one stop shop because it's a money thing. It's like I'm paying
That's where
15
I
for
want to
net.
go, right?
Yeah, like I'm paying what like $10 for Max, maybe $15 for Hulu. I know I think Hulu, Disney, and Max have like a bundle package. You get it for
Hmm.
30, which is pretty good if you think about it, because then you have access to all of them at once. But it's just a matter of like, what is your budget? Then, like, what if I want to watch? Like, I watch Yellowstone, and Yellowstone is on
Hmm.
Peacock,
Yep.
but then it's also on Paramount. And it's
Yep.
like, do I really want to? I gotta get another membership to Peacock and what you call it, Paramount. And I also I like watching Raising Canaan, which is a 50 Cent show. That's on Stars, and it's like it's like all these different shows have different like, and it's like I said, from a business standpoint, you have options because even from like a let's say 50 Cent, he wants to shop his shows.
Hmm.
You could be like, oh well, Stars ain't giving me this because I know he has issues with Stars, but then he could go to Max and be like, yo, listen, Raising Canaan has been doing this, and that. Power has been doing X, Y, and Z numbers. You guys want to kind of get back me up and help
Yeah.
me
Sign this
out and
contract.
sign this,
Get the
give me a quick bag real quick. And,
yeah.
50 Cent, he's liable to do that. So,
Yeah.
I see where it's going, but maybe it might be a hindrance at the same time. Like you kind of just never know. That's just kind of my perspective on the thing. But overall, like $15 for a shit ton of content all at once is definitely a nice bargain. Like I said, being a consumer.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Like being able to get And the emphasis on like what you get out of it would be more, because I know you and I were reading the article. It didn't give a list of like what all the
Yeah,
shows and everything, and it did put emphasis on the word free. So there's
yeah,
another thing that you have to think about, right? Like where some of these other streaming services, when you're like when you buying a subscription with them and you have it, they are actually like pre-releasing stuff earlier than when it
exactly.
would be actually getting out. So what do you get from this like free aggregate content
Yeah,
searcher, right? Like are you getting old movies? Like is it something that's like net new? Like what do you get out of it? And I
yeah,
think at the end of the day, like you said, like there's this bundling factor where people are like, how do I save money but be able to have access to all these subscriptions? Like now I do mine through Verizon. So I have my
yeah,
internet, I have Max and Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu all under one thing with one bill, right? Like that makes it so much easier. But
oh,
like
that's kind of
go
wavy.
for it.
Verizon does that.
Yeah, Verizon does that. Yeah, so it's like a perk. So it's like a perk
Verizon like
package.
Fios.
Yeah, Verizon Fios. Yeah, I have Fios internet, and I can get Netflix and Max on one perk package, and I get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus on the other package, and it's all rolled up to be like I think it's like $180, and that's including like high speed internet as well. Like so
Yeah,
like
this is also a sidebar. Do they have like the are they old school with the you remember that because in Fios they used to have like this big box that they needed to install. Is
mhm.
it have they shifted to being a wireless? Like what's like the
So
mechanisms to having this the service?
so there is like a big there's still a big modem, right? Like that for the internet and
That
stuff, like where the router is and everything.
yeah.
But like now they're all these like sleek little boxes that you get. It's nothing like a bulky like big piece of shit like on on your TV like you used to have back in the day, you know?
Well, because I know the obviously you're gonna get the router, but then there was also like this other like big box that they had to install.
Yeah.
Uh, so they don't do that no more. It's just
No.
more so the
Yeah, it's just literally
all
like this
right.
really cool like like it's a router like this big, and it's
Yeah.
like sleek. Ours is like sitting right behind the TV. You can't even see it, and
Okay.
it's awesome. And then like every month, I don't have to worry about like paying multiple subscriptions. I just have one subscription that is all of these subscriptions that comes out with Verizon at the same time. Like how cool is that? Like that's the way that I ended up bundling it, but I still want to be able to see the shows I want to be able to see, right? That's the root of it is like
Yeah.
and why everybody has all these other subscriptions. Like you just said,
Yeah.
you need Peacock for this show, you need Paramount for that show, blah blah blah. And if this like aggregator, this content aggregator, Bitmar, can show you new shows and bring that all up, and you don't have to go in multiple different subscriptions, that is next level. That is
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Um.
gonna be like it's gonna break the internet, and like take the market share away from Netflix, because like look what Netflix has done to become like a huge conglomerate and like
Yeah. I mean, Netflix is a
monopolize like
trailblazer.
yeah like
Not,
but remember when Netflix was like kind of like how freaking Redbox was and like Blockbuster and
yeah.
stuff where you could send the DVDs to your house, like
Well, I
that's where it
mean,
started.
nobody really thought because remember it was Hollywood Studios,
Hmm.
and it was also Blockbuster, and I even remember Blockbuster and Hollywood Studios. You could also get games there too. You could
Yeah, you
rent
could.
games. So I remember, like, just like I'm like we're like taking like a time ship all the way into the past real quick, but I remember I used to get like a bunch of like Rocket Power games
Hmm.
from Blockbuster for like GameCube, but also rent movies as well. But nobody
Every
thought
Friday, we
like,
used to go to Blockbuster and rent
yeah,
a couple movies for the weekend.
yeah, that was just the thing, and then now nobody thought. Everybody thought Netflix was, when you have an idea and everybody's like, "Whoa, like this is you, this can't be done." Like we're so used to going to Blockbuster, and I mean,
Hmm.
look at us now. We're like heavy. We're like again
I don't want
swinging
to
it.
even leave to go get a fucking. I don't even
Yeah,
want to go to
yeah,
the movie theater right anymore. You
yeah.
know, like it's the movies are fun, but like it's not as
It's
good as
expensive.
I can. Yeah, it's expensive one, but I can make a fire meal here and find a really great like movie on either
movie.
Netflix or whatever and chill right on my couch with the girls and
Yeah,
like right and not
yeah,
dude, like you're not paying $15 for the tickets for the movie theater, and that's just to get in, right? And then there's
yeah.
popcorn you want to get soda, you want the
You see,
nonsense.
you gotta have you gotta operate with your pockets and other
Ah,
type of things. You know, you go to the deli, get yourself a
you get a
sandwich,
sandwich,
put
you put it in a
eh,
freaking
yeah,
little bag,
little
and then
knapsack. Yeah,
nice.
you know what I mean. So kind of like sticking with the topic of entertainment industry and the movies. And they just released a new Minecraft movie that came out last week. And obviously Minecraft is a huge uh video game that a lot of
Yeah,
people play to like build things. It's kind of cool too. I got my nephew the
you have
game
like
as
your
well.
own like universe where you can like
Yeah, it's like your own
basically build
universe
it.
where you could like build things and like you build like houses and like water streams and all that stuff. Like it's basically like you're building like a civilization from the ground up.
So cool.
Um, uh, how do home team chime in on this as well? How do we feel about video games now being converted to movies? Like Minecraft now is a movie now. I know Sonic is
Hmm.
more known for it being a video game. The Last of Us got translated into a TV show, but everybody raves about the video game. Like this, I feel like this is like a kind of like a trend going on here. How does that correlate into, how do you convert certain aspects of the video game to being in a movie?
I don't think that they fit in the same
Yeah,
spot. Like it's a movie, right? Like so like you're trying to like take concepts from the game and make it into a 2.5, 2 hour long movie
yeah,
and like
yeah,
also characterize these like individuals with their own or like characters with their own thought process and own things, right? And like bring that out of the video game. Like to me, I think they do a really good job at that. Like Sonic was a really, really good movie. And I bet you it does help with sales. Like it definitely helps
yeah.
sell the game more, right? Like or at least put it on the map again. I just think it's like a little bit weird. Like I don't know if I love them like creating a whole like Minecraft movie off the back of the game. Like that is indifferent in comparison to like Mario or Sonic because like those have specific characters that you can like then tell a story and a narrative
Yeah.
about and kind of follow the game where what we were just talking about Minecraft is like kind of like just an open world where you're like able to build a bunch of stuff and do whatever you want and create your own civilization and like
Yeah.
the movie I feel like I don't know how you tie like that to the game in comparison with like a Mario or a Sonic, like what do you think?
I think like on the topic of Mario, like Mario has a lot of elements to it because there's a lot of
Mhm.
games from Mario. So it's just like for me watching the Mario movie, don't get me wrong, I don't think it was a terrible movie. I think they did what they had to do in for the movie.
Mhm.
But like when you're thinking about it from a video game perspective, it's like you could play the video game and then you could drop it and then go back to it and it's kind of like that. I just think like some like incorporated it into like a whole movie. You kind of also leave like key elements of you kind of like you kind of mashing everything into one. And like with Mario specifically, you have different like games. You have Mario Sunshine, Mario
Mhm.
Galaxy, Mario 64. Then like you have Luigi's Mansion. Like you have a bunch of games, and you're trying to like take concepts of it into and merge it into the game, like mold it into the movie.
Mhm.
So like I mean, it was cool when you saw like aspects of Luigi's Mansion and you saw like Donkey Kong and Bowser and all that stuff. But still don't know. I just feel like it's like kind of like a weird kind of mixture because a movie's a constant thing, like a constant. You're watching it thoroughly. A video game is like you could stop and pause, stop and
Mhm.
pause. You know what I mean? You could take a break from it and then come back to it. So. But it's cool to see how technology has come thus far that we can actually kind of make movies out of video games now and
Hmm.
or TV shows. Like obviously, production and equipment and stuff like that has evolved. So I think that's pretty cool too because we never imagined there would be a Mario movie. To be
No.
honest, you know what I mean? It's like the way Mario is aesthetically pleasing as a video game,
Hmm.
not really more so for a movie. Although I gotta say, The Last of Us, I haven't watched it, but and I never played a game, but I consistently hear um great reviews on the game and also the TV show. So I think for me, kind of being like a old school gamer, quote unquote.
Hmm.
I'm still kind of getting used to it. But I think eventually it's something that I could get down to, given, like I said, the technology behind it and stuff like that, and how they kind of take certain aspects and they actually make it a movie. And like you mentioned, it also helps with the video game sales. So, maybe people started watching The Last of Us and they're like, oh, I gotta get this game now.
Hmm.
Or,
100%. I think it's also like these movies are a good extension to like have the characters last longer, right? Like how
yeah,
long has Mario been around? For forever, right, bro? And
forever.
now like you have this whole other story, just like how Sonic is. You have this whole other story about this character that's more like coming to life
Yeah,
in a different light because now you're
yeah.
seeing it with a whole backstory and
Yeah, the
what
backstory was cool too.
like what they where they kind of came from. You don't always see that in a video game. Like you do, but you
Yeah.
don't. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
yeah.
Like you have to like unlock a couple of things, or you're like trying to find different like areas on how to see what the change or evolution of that character is going to be. Where you can see all that in like a movie really quickly, right?
Yeah, it also eliminates the sentiment of frustration because
Hmm.
like you're like, oh, I can't get to past this level. So let me just, like I said, the pause. But that also adds into the aesthetic of a video game
Yeah,
because
yeah,
so it's kind of like I said, a give and pull type of thing. Like on certain hands, it's like I want when I'm playing a video, I want that. All right, like I need to put this down because I'm getting a little frustrated. And I want to come back, and I want that satisfaction, like this built up frustration, and now I beat this guy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But then it's just like, all right, a movie is more constant, so you see like, all right, kind of what I was missing in that within that frustration. You know what I mean? So,
No, yeah,
uh,
I totally get that. I think other ones like how they did the Fast and the Furious game like for PS2 and then they had the movies. Like those like driving games or like that kind of like translates so much easier, right? Like cuz like then you're
yeah,
just like kind of whipping it, like you're doing what you want to do, like you're street racing whatever, and that correlates directly to the what you were watching
yeah,
in the movie where sometimes like the Mario movie, they try to go like over the top and give more to the character than what they were previously. And they were like I felt like they did a lot. Like when he was like battling Donkey Kong and they're like throwing the flower at him and then they're throwing the
yeah,
mushroom and he's like doing all that and you're like the backstory and the powers that he gets from all that stuff. I felt like they were like
yeah,
trying to do the most in like one
yeah.
movie. Um, but like also they were like, this might be the only time we can do this kind of thing, right? We might not get another contract to do a Mario like two movie
Movie,
or
yeah,
whatever, you know?
yeah. I mean, it just shows like in a nutshell that where we are in life and the evolution of things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they're trying
but
to keep things like everlasting, right? Which is like
yeah,
or like an evergreen type character like a Mario. Now you have movies
yeah,
about it. Now you have, they always had like toys and stuff like that. Like when we were younger, my mom bought us a chess game of Mario. Like it had all the
yeah.
Mario characters. Like there's all different avenues on keeping like the characters alive, and this is just like another way to do that. I feel like.
No, for sure. Hey, home team, let us know what you think about video games being translated to a movie. Would also be curious to see how they would make a GTA movie, but that would be kind of very rated R.
Yeah, I don't know how they would pull that one off, but
Yeah,
hey, it could be really, really cool though.
it could be really cool. Our chilling ass segment.
Let's
We
get it. Let's
have
get it.
we have two questions for the home team. And also home team. You guys can provide questions before us in the comments.
Yeah,
We would
please
love
drop
to
them in.
put yeah, we would love to put your questions on during this segment as well. So if you do have a question for us, or you just want us to chat about and we can all talk about, drop it in the comments. Our chilling ass questions number one. Um, there's always a debate of what is the better computer software. It's either
Mm-hmm.
Mac or even like cell phone software.
Yep.
It's either Mac or Windows, or in the cell phone world, iPhone or Windows. What is your preference, Dougie? Do you have a preference?
I do. And I'm probably gonna be like the stereotypical person that says Mac because of the user interface and how easy it is
Mhm.
to easily sync and connect your iPad, your phone, your Mac. I have two different I have a MacBook Pro, I have a MacBook Air, like all of those easily sync together and like have a quick and easy like interface. Like your iPhone is so anybody can use it.
Yeah,
You can hand it to anybody and they can figure out exactly what they need. It's not like over engineered and has like a ton of different apps and like but there's not a lot of flexibility. Like remember when we were younger, all people would do would jailbreak their iPods
yeah.
or their phones,
iPods, yeah. The
right? To be able
iTouches,
to yeah, to be able to do stuff on it, which was like
yeah,
make like concept art or like create your own app or like run a different background or like do something that was next level that you can easily do on Samsung or Windows phones, like, and have always been able to. But I am a ride or die Mac person, and I just do that because of the ability to make the how easy it is to sync, like I said, how user friendly it is, and they're just good pieces of equipment. They last a really long time. The one thing that they're not that great with, but they've gotten better with, is battery life. I think that that has gotten much better over time. But
yeah,
you can't be like, oh well, the battery is the only thing that would be the reason why I don't buy it, right? Like if
yeah,
the battery is decent, but it has a ton of RAM and the computer runs like amazing, immaculately, like that is key to me. And I have like the M1 for work, and I can run all of my projects on it. I can run all of my browser based apps on it all at the same time, and it doesn't like glitch out or like anything like that. And as long as you're like restarting it, or shutting it down at the end of the day, the computer is going to last for a while. So I'm
yeah,
a big Mac fan. I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with Windows like that is a little bit harder to do with Mac, like the converting, like and being able to use like Previewer on Mac is much simpler than it is like on like converting to a PDF or something like that than on Windows and things. But there's just like the ebb and flow of always having your counterpart being your competitive market, right? Like
mm,
they're always going to be trying to one up each other in some form or fashion, and that's all part of business. But that is at least that's my thought process. But I'm sitting here while I'm looking at my two monitors, and they're both Samsungs. So
yeah,
I have my Mac computer, but I have my monitors that are Samsung. So I
yeah.
am a bit of a both coins on that front. So what about you? What's your preference, Mac or Windows?
I think growing up, computer wise, I was more of a Windows guy. I had a Lenovo and I think a compact computer. So those are my computers that I had. I think currently speaking, I have a MacBook Air, no MacBook Pro. I'm sorry. And it just it functions well. I'm able to do all my. I work mostly in Adobe Cloud, so it runs Adobe well. And the biggest thing with me is um the fact that it can function with all these different programs, and
Mm-hmm.
now, but also for Windows, it has a lot of like the basic functions, not really the basic functions, the basic interfaces that we use. Like we all use Microsoft Cloud. Like that's
Hmm.
like the biggest thing. I think Apple does have it, but it's not prevalent like Microsoft Cloud. So I think like they both add different kind of aspects, different on and off. Me personally now, I have an iPhone, I have a MacBook, I have an iPad. So it's like you mentioned, it's easy user friendly, so it's easy to sync. But I do think functionally sound. If you, I'm not really a tech guy, but from just a bird's eye view, technology wise, I would probably say Windows is a little bit better than Mac. But if I had to choose, I mean, to me, just for like the syncing ability that you mentioned, if I was probably more like into high tech and all that stuff, I would probably go with Windows just by and just throwing this out there. As an iPhone user, you love the blue bubble.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the
You
thing too. Like I don't want no green messages from nobody.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
you
like,
love the bubble. And the fact of the matter is that now with iPhone or having an iPhone, you could do like group messages and you could
hmm.
rename the group chat and then you could, put like an image so you could like have distinguishable group chats as well. So I think for sure if I had to choose, I'm gonna choose on Mac as of right now. But I think if I somehow down the road become like a tech guru, I would probably choose Windows. So it's more so like your preference on what makes it easier for you. I'm
I
not
also
really
think the out of the box like apps that Apple gives you are like light years better. Like the Maps app, the
yeah
Photos app, like the calendar app, all that. I feel like are so much better on iPhone and Mac than it is on Windows too. Like, but that's just my preference. Like you can easily get iMovie, and you could do all your
iMovie.
you could do all
Yeah,
your editing right up front. Like I know that they have GarageBand as well as part of it too. Like there's a lot of cool apps that you get like off the rip
off the rip. Yeah,
from
with
Apple,
for
where you're
sure.
not like having to download anything or like go the extra mile to get all that. It's just like already there, right?
Yeah, but that adds into the convenience of having a Mac, and I think that was like the general consensus from Steve Jobs when he was making Apple. How do I make a product that's conveniently available
Mm-hmm.
or user friendly to the user, the consumer?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, home team, let us know what you feel about Mac versus Windows. Are you a Mac type of person or are you a Windows type of person? Let us know in the comments. There's not a right or wrong answer. It's really just based on preference. So let us know what your preference is. We are definitely excited to hear what you guys got to say.
Yeah, if you
Um,
can swing us too, like if there's some reason why I should be a Windows person, please tell me in the
Let me
comments.
know. Let me
If
know.
I'm missing something, like let me know. Obviously, I know Windows has done a lot of work to try to do that syncing and like easy flexibility around just like
Yeah, because
being able to.
now they got like the Samsung Galaxy Watch and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and
Yeah,
which is similar to like the Apple Watch. You know what I mean? So they're kind of trying to. It's competition at the end of the day. Kind of compete with Apple. So you know. But yeah, home team, let us know what you got in that preference. The second question I wanted to ask in our Chill and Ice segment is can WNBA players play in the NBA? I heard this question when I was watching a podcast, and I wanted to see it with the home team. What do you guys have to say about it? What is your perspective on it? So, Dougie, what's your perspective on WNBA players playing in the NBA?
I think from a competitive level, they probably could. Like in some scenarios, I definitely do. From a bully ball perspective, I don't know if they should. Right? Like if you have LeBron James like tumbling down the lane and somebody jumps in there for like a WNBA player jumps in there and takes a charge, like that's going to be different than another WNBA player hitting you. I don't know. Like from a bully ball perspective, I think like maybe not, but from a competitive level perspective, these women are great basketball players, man. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
really, really, really good basketball players that are in the WNBA that I think could come in and easily their game would translate into what they need to do to make an impact right away on an NBA floor or in an NBA team. Um, I just think the games are a little bit different, but also the game in general is much different than it used to be. Right in the '90s, like you would see pictures of Michael Jordan having his hands on guys' hips and stuff. That's not a thing now.
yeah,
You can't even land next to a guy. You can't even sneeze
yeah,
next to a guy, and they're calling a foul. You know, like it's just a whole different game. So like the setup of the game would probably be much easier for anyone to transition in, even if they're a WNBA player or they're a Euro League player, whatever the case may be. If you have the skill, I think that is now the comparison instead of like having the athleticism or the bulk or like whatever it used to be, right? What do you think?
yeah. I think it's more so like if we're talking about errors, like honestly, like if I think Aja Wilson right now could probably play in the NBA. I think Caitlin Clark could probably play in the NBA. Even like old school players like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird. I definitely think in today's NBA, there's more of like a leniency in terms of how the game is played. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
the fouls aren't very much like that rough, and if there is a rough foul, you're bound to get kicked out,
Mm-hmm.
flagrant, all that stuff. I think if it was in the '90s, it'll be a little bit more different. A lot of things is more aggressive and stuff like that. I do gotta say this. You're right. When it comes, well, I would say you mentioned it, but LeBron James is 6'9", 200 and something pounds, and probably all muscle. And I just think genetically, from a strictly biological standpoint, a woman isn't built like a man. So, and that's no discreditation to a woman in terms of how they play the game, because they probably play the game. They could probably go toe to toe with a lot of these men. It's just strictly from a DNA perspective. Like again, LeBron, even like somebody like Jokic. Jokic is 6'11", 200 and something pounds, and he's massive. Um, Aja Wilson is probably a great dominant basketball player, but if you think about it, you take her position, she's not gonna be playing a 4 or a 5 in the NBA. She's probably gonna be like a 2, and maybe if you want to stretch it with small ball 3,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not. And then that's also something that, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have handles, but that's something that also you need to account for as well. Is how can you switch your game now to apply to that given position? Because you're so used to getting in the post. Now you need to kind of be like kind of working on the ball and kind of using like, a lot of like your handles needs to be like a little bit more on point. So I just think like the variations of the men's and the women's, that's really the disconnect in terms of position wise. Because a center in the WNBA isn't gonna be a center in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Unless you have maybe Brittany Griner could be like a 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? She could actually play her position, but I just think that's gonna be like the level of concern in terms of can a WNBA player kind of make that transition into the NBA. But again, if we're talking about strictly from a skill perspective, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these women are probably could definitely hang with the men. Like I feel like Caitlin Clark could do what she got to do. Audrey Wilson could do what she got to do. So I just think what really kind of is that barrier is just strictly the biological standpoint of a man versus a female.
And I think the same. And that was the like what I was saying around like bully ball, right? But like
Yeah,
when you bring up skill in general, you know that a lot of these women in WNBA can shoot the lights out of the ball. So if it was let's put them up against somebody in the NBA and let's have a skills competition like they did with Sabrina Ionescu and Curry, yes, okay. I think that they have a very high probability of winning that, right?
yeah,
When it's a in game, let's take a tough playoff game, right? Where things are really hit like people are hitting the floor. It's brutal. Like we're pushing, we're shoving. That's where the biological factors come into play. Of like you are 50 to 70 pounds bigger than I am and 5 inches taller than I am, and you're bullying me around, and I'm supposed to be a
Yeah,
center or a four in the WNBA, and now I'm a two in the NBA. Like
yeah.
it's
I
just like totally different. But from a
I think
skill
also
perspective,
looking
I definitely think that they could easily hang, easily.
I think also looking like more deep into this, like it's also a level of like the trash talking as well because like if a female's throwing trash like a man, like how is he gonna receive that? Is he gonna kind of like take it as a joke and be like, huh, or is he gonna take it really on the opposite end, really to
Hmm.
heart? And vice versa. Like if a man is talking trash to a female, is she gonna take it to heart? Or is she gonna kind of be like take it as a joke? You know what I mean? Because then that hinders your play too.
Hmm.
Because it's just like the level of like trash talking. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I would be interested to see what the crossover is. I mean, we already seen the crossover, and this is kind of like not actually playing, but we've seen the crossover in coaching already.
Hmm.
Pop had Becky Hammond as a coach, so I think you know, I don't know. I think that's something that maybe the NBA should kind of like talk about, or
It
maybe
would be
not have.
really, really cool, like that. The Emirates Cup or whatever the play-in game that they are trying to like get
Yeah,
more, make things more competitive during the middle of the season and everything for the NBA to get more views. There could be a really cool crossover there where it's like a cool like play-in or like small like tournament or whatever where you have WNBA and the NBA players together. You do a selection and then you kind of like plug and play them into
yeah.
teams together where they're playing together. That could be really, really cool. But I agree
Or
with
like you could probably do something in like during like one of like the All Star weekends,
you.
like. Maybe instead of having this is like the having instead of having the Rising Star Challenge, or maybe like and one of like the festivities for Saturday, you have like it doesn't have to be like a actual game. It could be like a two
Just a pickup
halves.
game or some shit.
Yeah, do like a 3-on-3 tournament or whatever the case may be. Kind of mixing the men and the women. And maybe that might grow viewership. You never know, but I think it has to be it could potentially be a thing down the road. It's just not more so of like on both sides, both parts. What would be the regulations and stuff like that?
Yeah, like what would that game look like in comparison? I totally
Yeah,
agree. I think that there's two sides to every coin, right? And
yeah,
I think that they could probably be very competitive and make an impact. But there might be some pieces of the competition that is a little bit tougher in different regards. You know?
yeah. Kind of sticking on the topic of women's basketball. March Madness wrapped up. We already know Florida won.
Yep.
So shout out to Florida for winning. They had a hard fought game against Houston. Houston pulled a Duke, and Houston kind of didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And
Dude, they were
Florida,
up like 9 at one point, and
yeah,
like they could have easily sealed the deal. And Florida in multiple of those games throughout the tournament were down,
yeah,
9, 10, 12 points, and they came back and won. So like
yeah,
obviously they were a very, very strong team. I had them going all the way to the finale and losing
yeah,
to Duke, but Duke didn't make it, so I was happy that they got the win for sure.
yeah, for sure. And obviously the ending was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie to you, just how the game ended. But on the other side of the coin, in the women's bracket, UConn won.
Hmm.
UConn, not gonna lie to you, slaughtered I think I believe it's South
Yeah.
Carolina USC.
Yeah, South
Uh
Carolina, yeah.
yeah,
And they
South
won
Carolina.
last year, right?
Wait, is it South Carolina or I don't wanna or South California? Hold on, let me see.
No, I'm pretty sure it's South
Women's
Carolina.
2025 NCAA tournament.
I'm pretty sure it's South Carolina because that's where Don Starley or Starley is the coach and everything, right? And they won
Uh
last year.
Yeah, so South Carolina, you're absolutely correct. So South Carolina, um, they beat they 82-59 was the final score.
And
Obviously
Paige
after the
Beckers
game,
was wildly good in that game
yeah,
too.
Paige is
Good
amazing.
for her, yo, coming off
Yeah,
an injury too last year.
she was very emotional at the end. Obviously, it's her last. She's obviously probably going to be on the way to the NBA. The question I wanted to propose is, or I wanted to chat about is, with the UConn winning another women's championship, is UConn the best basketball program, generally speaking, I guess, of all time?
Absolutely. UConn is by far the best collegiate basketball program in the history of collegiate basketball. I don't know if there's any others that like literally the women's team with the coach that they have now, he's won 12 championships.
Yeah,
12.
Gino.
Gino. Yeah. And he's won 4 championships I think in 4 different decades too. Just
Yeah,
freaking
he's
wild, dude. Like the women's program is beyond light years better than any other women's program, collegiate program. The men's,
yeah,
on the other hand, too, went back to back, and they were really trying to do a three-peat, and they probably could have if they had, one more guy. Because I felt like they were just like not as good as they were in the previous 2 years, but they were right there, and they what was the game that they were playing? Maybe it was up against who were they up against? Alabama? No, that was on the other side of the bracket. I don't know who it was, but they were the 8 seed, and they had them up against the ropes, and then all of a sudden they came
yeah,
back and lost. But I do think by far the that program has the best coaches. They bring in a lot of great players, and now with the NIL deals, like they're gonna get whoever they want whenever they want because they can pay these
yeah,
players now. Like
yeah,
it's wild. And the women's dude, 12 championships in the last 20 years is wild. That's crazy.
yeah. 23 Big East tournaments for the women, 12 NCAA championships also for them. I believe UConn, the men's have 5 or 6. And let me see where they're at on
So
the
that's 18 championships at the school.
and that's just the NCAA tournament,
Yeah, that's not the other tournaments that they play prior to getting in.
because they're also in the Big East, and they obviously the Big East has its own championship as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have 6 NCAA championships. And if you're talking about conference tournament championships, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they're
16 championships for the
and
men across multiple different tournaments.
yeah,
And what you said for the women, they had 12 for the NCAA NC. I can't even say it.
NC,
NCAA.
yeah.
And then what was it for the Big East for them?
The Big East is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. So 12 championships in the Big East.
So 24 championships for the women, 16 for the men, 40 championships overall. And
Yeah,
what is that in the last probably in the last 25 years or in the last
they've been on top for a while. Like they consistently kind of make it, and I mean, I would have to say they're probably the greatest basketball program of all time, collegiately speaking, from a woman's standpoint and a men's. If you're going strictly men's, obviously you're probably throwing like Duke, and
yeah,
they. But if you're talking about the
Duke
encompassing
and
both,
UNC and all that.
yeah,
Like
if you're encompassing both women's and men's, there's nobody that does it better than UConn,
no,
and
no.
especially what UConn is the best women's hands down, judging by Gino has had a chokehold on the women's side of things for a minute. So
And it's not
yeah,
like the years that they don't win, they're not in the championship game. They were still in the game like every single time. dude.
Yeah, I think
So
last year they were in the game. They make it to the final four. So they if they're not in the championship, and then if they don't win it, they're in it or they're in the final four.
they're
So
scratching at the bit to get in there.
yeah,
So
so
yeah,
I mean
I agree.
that's
That's
kind of
definitely the best program for sure.
hands down. And shout out Paige for winning. And also shout out to the Florida boys, the Gators for
Yep, yep.
uh uh Will Will Clayton Jr. Had a phenomenal. He had a terrible game, but came out strong and where his team needed him.
Yeah, I
So
don't
yeah,
know if he's gonna end up going back or if he's gonna just get go into the draft or not. I'm not really sure. You know,
we'll see.
he made $2 million this year though
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see
from playing college basketball. That's pretty
where
nice,
he ends
right?
up at. The playoffs are on us, NBA wise. This is one of my favorite times of the year. April is NBA playoff season. Um,
Dude, it's
we
the
do
best
have
time of the year. It feels like it takes
yes,
forever to get here though, right? Like
yeah,
82 games doesn't feel like it's long, but it's
but
long.
it's
It's so
long.
long, I feel like. I feel like baseball goes by so fast. And it's like 162 games, but like all
Yeah,
of a sudden you turn around, it's October. And you're like,
yeah,
all right, here's the playoffs, let's go. But with basketball, it takes forever, I feel like. And you're like, we're finally here. And
yeah.
before we talk about the playoff picture and we dig into this further, tell me your thoughts about the play-in like portion of the playoffs. Like, do you like that? Especially like this year, knowing, the Kings and the Mavericks are like 8, 10 games back from the 8 seed. So like they're
Yeah,
already kind of have like on the West, they already have like those seeds like set. Like should there be like a requirement of like a certain amount of games you have to be in to be able to get into the play in? Like should it only be 5 games back from the person that's in the 8 seed?
yeah.
Or do you like
Um,
the mechanism of like keeping those 9, 10 game
I think
seeds
I think
alive?
it keeps the level of competition up. You know what I mean? Because if you really think about it, like if you're like a Memphis Grizzlies and you think like, oh, I already have the HC locked up, it's like then you're just kind of skating by. But if you know that you got to go up against a 7 seed in the Timberwolves to fight
Hmm.
into the playoffs, and then if you lose, you got to face a 9 or 10 seed. It's gonna keep your kind of like hopes up to like, all right, I need to keep that level of competition going in. And then who knows, like with that level of competition, you go into the playoffs, and we've seen it happen multiple times.
Hmm.
An eighth seed can be a number 1 seed. So I just think like with this mechanism, it kind of like just keeps that level of competition. Like obviously, if it was like the number 1 seed has to play in, it would be like, all right, relax, all right. But I think at the bottom, like I feel like there should be it should be some sort of like level of competition there. You know what I
I
mean?
think it makes the regular season games more important too,
Yeah,
right? If I'm like pushing to get between 1 and 10, knowing that I have a shot at getting into the playoffs, I'm going to do whatever I can do
yeah,
to get there, right? Like even if it's a bad season or not, maybe it's a turnaround after the All-Star break. But I agree. I think it's a really really cool opportunity to kind of make some changes to bring views to the playoffs and like
yeah,
to the NBA, but also it puts a pressure on what you're seeing right now, like all the way to the last game, which is today, right? I think there's a lot.
yeah,
The last
yeah.
games are today, and there's like 5 teams in the West that have the same exact record or
No,
within one.
the play in starts April 15th, so next week, and then the actual playoffs start the 19th. Um, yeah, even for like the number 1 season, the number 1 and number 2 seeds, like you still have that like, all right, like I need a. Then you just watch the play in,
Yeah,
and
I
like,
gotta
all right,
lock in because I gotta figure out who I'm gonna watch tape for. You know?
yeah, you know what I mean? So it keeps everybody on their heels because like if you go into the playoffs and you ain't know, oh, I'm preparing to face the Grizzlies, then it's like, all right, well, I beat them, and then it's like they might upset you, and like I think with this, it just keeps everybody on their toes. You know what I mean? You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So, yeah. So the NBA bracket is practically filled out. Just kind of running through the East. The East, the number one seed is the Cavs. Then you got the Celtics. The Knicks are 3. The Pacers are 4, the Bucks are 5, the Pistons are 6,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 7th and 8th seed are being fought for. But as of right now, the 7th seed is the Magic, the 8th seed are the Hawks, the 9th seed are the Bulls, and the 10th seed are the Heat. Flipping
Yep.
it over to the Western Conference, the Thunder at the top, at number 1. The Rockets are number 2, which is kind of interesting. The Lakers are number 3, Nuggets are 4, Clippers are 5, Warriors are 6, Timberwolves are 7, Grizzlies are 8, and like you mentioned, 9 and 10 are go to the Kings at 9 and the Mavericks at 10. I guess what we can talk about right now are the two matchups that are locked in, which
Mm-hmm.
are the Pacers and the Bucks on the east side, and then the Knicks and the Pistons. What do you got?
Well,
Oh, what's your analysis?
obviously, I'm a Knicks fan, so home team. We know the Knicks are going to pull out, but hey, are going to show up. But hey, the Pistons put us up the other night, and we lost by like
Yeah,
13.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Pistons have made a huge turn.
Huge turnaround.
So good for them. Good for the
I
coaching
want
group
to wait.
in
Time out
Miami.
before we. I want to say this. Kay Cunningham, he has a there's a stat out there, and I'm not really big on these weird stats, but this is actually really like a actual like this is an amazing stat. All of his points have been scored by him, not going to the free throw line. He's one of the few players in the NBA that have the least amount of free throws attempts per game. So if he's averaging 25, he's probably averaging 25 actually getting buckets. So
That is a
that's
wild stat.
so
Holy
so
wow!
yeah, so
And you would
impressive.
think that like the main scorer on the team is also getting to the line the most.
Exactly. So for him being just a natural scorer and being able to get into, you know, get these points is very, very efficient. He's an efficient scorer. Opposed to I don't want to call out names, but SGA be going to the line like it's nothing. So,
Yep.
judging by that, I think the Pistons have a star in Cade, and like you mentioned, they could
I think
slice and dice
anything
you
could
guys.
happen, but I do think the Knicks are the better team.
Yeah.
In this regard, they have Brunson, they got Cat, they have some all stars, and then the team structurally is a little bit better, I would say. But now the Pistons are getting Ivy back. He'll be back in the playoffs, and he hasn't played,
Yep.
but he's conditioning now. You said Cade Cunningham. You have Tobias Harris. You have a really good defense. I think the Knicks have a tough first round, but they will get out of it in 6 games. I think that they end up getting out of it in 6 games. I think they do the work they need to do in the first 2 games to win and go up to going back to Detroit. I do believe that Detroit wins both those games at home and splits it,
Yeah.
and then it's a back and forth. Obviously, 1-1 game. But I think that the Knicks come back and they win in New York, and then they go to back to Detroit and they win. So in 6. So that is my prediction. And that's all off the back of if the team really plays some solid ball and they turn around what this like last 2 weeks of fucking stinkers has looking like. And it's not getting me excited at all as a Knicks fan to see the things that they've done over the last two weeks, as well as knowing that they're like 0-10 against all the top contending teams is like
Yeah.
mind blowing for me. But hey, we know how Tibbs is. We know what Brunson can do when he turns it turns into April, like, and the calendar shifts and we're ready to rock and roll in the playoffs. I think that they beat them and they edge them out in 6 games. And we see where they go from there. But it is going to be a tough first round. I would
Yeah.
not back down and say that the Pacers are gonna. The Pistons are gonna just like, they're gonna wipe the floor with us with the Knicks or vice versa. But I think it'll be a good games. The other side of the coin is the 5-4, and then I'll let you throw your analysis out there, which is
Yeah.
Pacers Bucks, and I think that Giannis is on a rampage from being out last year, not playing in the playoffs.
And
Daniel
this is a
Theis
rematch. This is a
Yeah.
rematch.
This is a rematch. They were very much hurt last year. I know Dane is hurt, is out right now, but he might actually make a comeback. They were saying, depending on where he lands with the whole blood clot thing, but he might be able to come
Yeah,
back. But Giannis has been playing lights out for the last like month, and you do not want to get that guy angry. And I think he will turn it up on them. I think the
yeah.
Bucks win in 5. I do think the Pacers are a great team. I just don't think it's this year is the year for them to get out of the first round like they did last year. And I think that the Bucks are really going to put a hurting on them from what they did last year to them, and how that series went. What do you think? What is your analysis on the games and the rounds that are locked in on the east side of the bracket?
I mean, the Knicks are the better team. But I just think with the Pistons, like this is not something that you guys could just think this is a walk in the park just by the history of what the Pistons are. Like they actually have people. They have a team now. So
Mm-hmm.
I think for the Knicks is not for you guys to get complacent and be like, all right, well, the Pistons they sucked last year and they're here now. I'll tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Cade he's one of those. So don't
They made
shred
a huge change,
huge
dude.
change. So don't take this team lightly. Obviously, they are the better team, but I would say Knicks in 6. But if you guys are lacking on defense, it might be Pistons in 7. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I want it to be the Knicks in 6, but
Bro, my heart is sinking right now, and it hasn't even
yeah,
started.
yeah, it's the Knicks here to be on their A game. I'm telling you right now.
I was
Uh
nervous either to play the Pistons and or the Bucks in the first round because it
yeah.
was a couple weeks ago. It was the Bucks were the 6th seed, and I was like, oh my god, this is not good, bro. This is not good. I'm very nervous. I think the Knicks can pull it out, but I don't know.
On the flip side, the Pacers and the Bucks is gonna be a blowout. I think the Pacers are gonna get swept. I'm not gonna lie to you. Nobody on that team could guard Giannis at all. That team is absolutely in for a rude awakening. Giannis is on a fucking, like you mentioned, a rampage. Judging by the fact that they bounced him last year, he's gonna sweep them by
It
himself. And
is
if
not
they have
happening this year.
and if they have Dame, that might be the fucking nail in the coffin. I think the Pacers they just got to the 4th seed. Halliburton isn't really playing the way he played last year. I mean, you still have Siakam and stuff like that, but I just think if Hallie's your best player and nobody on that team could guard Giannis, I don't think nobody in the NBA could guard Giannis. And given the Pacers, I don't think nobody on that team can guard him. Yeah, so I have Bucks and 4.
Whew.
Straight Bucks and 4. Maybe a hot take, but
I
I'm
think
I'm
I think that's a little bit of a hot take, but hey,
nah.
bro,
I'm I'm going
I feel
I'm
you there.
I'm going Bucks and 4. Obviously we don't know who the Cavs and the Celtics are playing. In terms of just a play in, I would say the the Heat might edge out the Bulls and then go on to face the Magic.
Hmm.
And then the Magic might be the 7th seed, and the Heat might actually be the 8th seed. Those are my predictions in terms of
Well, if the
the
Magic win right over the Hawks, then they automatically become the
Magic.
seventh seed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So the Magic automatically are going to be the 7th seed, in my opinion. They're going to be the 7th seed, and it's going to be the Heat versus the Hawks, and then I think the Heat are gonna edge out the Hawks and make it to that 8th seed because I just feel like the Heat just find a way to make it to the playoffs.
Hmm. They always
Um,
find a way, bro. They always
yeah,
find a
find
way.
a way. Yeah, they're gonna find a way. I think Tyler, this might be Tyler Hero's coming out party, judging by the fact that they don't have Jimmy no more. So this might be his. All right, like I'm
Yeah,
about to
I'm
drop
setting the
50.
stage. Let's go.
I'm about to drop 50. So yeah. So that kind of, I mean, what are your thoughts about the play-in? Are you on like the same page, or do you have any other different?
I think that the Hawks will win. Honestly, that 7-8 spot.
Yep,
So I do think the Hawks are going to be the 7 seed, but I think it's going to be a tough, tough matchup of the Florida teams, Magic, Heat, and I think Heat edge out the Magic in that regard. So the Heat will be back in the playoffs at the 8
got
seed.
you.
That's what I
Home
think.
team,
But hey,
let us know what are your Eastern Conference predictions. Um, Judging by the way the playoff bracket is established right now, swinging over things to the Western Conference. Obviously the two lock-ins are the Lakers and the Warriors, the Nuggets and the Clippers.
mm-hmm.
For myself, Lakers and Warriors is what I'm really nervous about, judging by the fact the Warriors have been playing absolutely great basketball. The addition of Jimmy Butler, but I think Austin Reeves for the Lakers has been proving that he can't be that third option. So I think I'm not gonna lie to you, this might be a Lakers in 7 type of scenario. I think it might be a 4-3 series.
But who on the
Um,
Warriors guards Luka Doncic? Who stops him?
Jimmy, they have a
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
But Jimmy's gonna have to play LeBron and Luca. Who does he play?
Well now you have Jimmy and Draymond.
Okay.
So Jimmy on Luca, Draymond on Braun, and then I mean you could I mean they're probably that this is the key too. If they take Austin Reeves lightly, he might be that X factor that kind of gets them over the hump. In terms of like matchup wise, but I think on the flip side, you just throw every fucking guard you have at fucking Steph and just play it like that. Another thing too is that Jimmy's notoriously great at in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of that's kind of this is the series, judging by the fact that Lakers are the team, my team. It's gonna be a grueling series, 4-3, and 7. Nuggets Clippers. The Clippers have been on fire. They got
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi back, Harden, Zubac, Norman Powell has had a great season. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think they bounced the Nuggets. I think they might the Clippers in 6. Nuggets obviously have Jokic. Jokic is Jokic. But he doesn't. They just fired the coach. They just fired the GM, so there's a lot of turmoil there. Obviously you have Jamal Murray, but he's only notoriously good for the Lakers. So I mean,
And
unless they
he's
try to,
hurt.
and he's hurt. So
I don't know if he's
MPJ,
gonna play.
MPJ is kind of non-existent too. So I mean, if you only have Jokic, I
And
don't
their
know. So I
defense
got
is not good either right now.
yep. So I got Clippers in 6. And then for the play-ins, I don't know what's going on with the Timberwolves. Ja is back for the Grizzlies, so I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the Grizzlies might take that 7th seed. And then I have so the Timberwolves will go to face, I believe. Uh, AD is back now, so
Mm-hmm.
I think Mavs might edge out the Kings a little bit, and get into that seed as well. And then you will have, I think the Mavs it'll be the Mavs and the Thunder and the Rockets and the Grizzlies.
Okay. Okay.
So
But here's the thing that's very interesting is the Warriors and the Timberwolves have the same record right now. So did they play today or did they play this last game? And is there an opportunity that the Warriors would be in the play-in and not be the number 6 seed, or
it
do
could
they
be.
win the tie? They have a tiebreaker. I don't know, but in it with looking at this bracket, my thoughts are Lakers in 6. I think the Lakers can and will beat the Warriors. And if they are playing the Timberwolves because of some craziness that happens at the end of the day today,
Oh,
I think that
and
they murder them. So
yeah, because Luka's notorious for killing the Timberwolves. And if we get the Timberwolves, oh, that's like a. I'll even. I'm gonna say a sweep. I'm not gonna lie to you, but if it were being nice, I'll say I'll give them a game because Luka is notoriously torches the Timberwolves.
Yeah, so I think if it's the Timberwolves, they win in 5. If it's the Warriors, the Lakers win in 6. If the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard can stay healthy, I do believe that you're right. I think that they wipe the floor with the Nuggets. The organization is all over the map. You have one of the best players probably ever at the center position, but your other players are just not up to par. And if you don't have Murray, and Murray doesn't is not there for the first round, you're shot.
Yeah,
You're shot because like the other guys, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, they step up, but they step up in a way where it's like, let me get you 12 points. Murray's going to get you 20 and 5 to 7 assists. Like you need him to be able to get out of the first round. If not, Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, like you said, they are going to beat the crap out of them and
yeah.
probably win in 5. Um, if the bracket stays the same way, I do think that the Grizzlies edge out the Timberwolves. So it would be the Timberwolves versus, and I think the Mavericks edge out the Kings, and then the Mavericks edge out the Timberwolves. But if it's the Warriors there, I think the Warriors end up beating them.
Yeah.
And they would play the Thunder, which would be a wild first round. Because if I was the Thunder, I don't know if I'd want to see the Warriors in the first round.
Well, I think no,
I'm not
I
sure if I
think
would.
I think if the Warriors face the Grizzlies, I think the Warriors will win, so they'll take that 7th seed.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then I think the Grizzlies, I'm not gonna lie to you, that'll be a dogfight, the Grizzlies and the Mavs. And I don't know, I would just stick with the Mavs because they have AD and Kyrie. I think Kyrie's injured actually.
Yeah, I don't think Kyrie's gonna be there either.
So the Grizzlies I'm gonna go with the Grizzlies. They might beat the Mavericks. And then I'll have the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, and the 8th seed.
It's
So
gonna be a good playoff run, bro. It's gonna be a good
those,
playoff run.
yeah, a
I'm
lot of
excited.
a lot of ups and downs. On the topic of sports, home team, let us know what you think about the playoffs so far. We'll be, giving now, a little our insight into what's going on as the playoffs unfold. Um, Kind of sticking on the topic of sports, the NFL draft is next week. And a lot of dope, great talent out there. Um, what are the predictions for the NFL draft? I mean, I know the Giants have been a lot of the mock drafts have been kind of fluctuating. For the Giants, they're either getting Abdul Carter, Shador dropped to like the 9th pick, or recently I checked the mock draft and they might be getting Travis Hunter. So, what are your thoughts on where everybody might fall out? Are you thinking that somebody should be higher or lower? Obviously, we don't know because the draft is next week, but predictions.
Yeah, I for the Giants, I don't think that they need a quarterback now with the going out of their way to get Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and all that. But maybe that's the route they go in. I do think that they should go and get Mason Graham, who is that like defensive end or whatever from Michigan, because he was awesome, and that would really
Yeah,
bolster their defense. I think Shador is going to go higher than 9. I think like he'll probably go 1 or 2. Both of the two like teams at the top, either Tennessee or Cleveland, need a quarterback. At this point, they don't have a quarterback that's a franchise quarterback. So, and he is by far, I think the best coming out of the draft from the quarterback position. Um, Other than that, I don't have like a very like hard pulse on like anybody else that is like decently good coming out of the draft. Like, so let me know what you think about it
well, I
until
mean,
next week when it
in terms of
goes.
yeah, in terms of quarterback, I mean, obviously Cam Ward is definitely a major factor. No, I'm sorry, the draft is the 24th, so not this upcoming week. It's the next week.
The next week, okay.
The fall, yeah. But Cam Ward is in competition as well for I would say top quarterbacks in the draft. Obviously you got a lot of defensive players who are stepping up. You mentioned Mason Graham, I mentioned Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter is another one. There's a few other like edge walkers, and like the defensive tackles, even O line that are actually high up in the draft. You also have Ashanton Genty, who was
Hmm.
a running back for Florida, Boise State. So I think this draft class is very well stacked in terms of talent. It's just a matter of where they fall at. Specifically for the Giants, I would not be mad if we ended up getting like a Travis Hunter or a guy like Mason Graham or Abdul Carter. Just but judging by the fact that, like you mentioned, we got Russ. Even though Russ is a little bit older, I think he could provide that veteran experience for them.
Hmm.
To kind of grow them, and then eventually in the next draft, hopefully we get like I don't know if one of the Mannings, the son, was it Arch
Arch,
Manning,
yeah.
declares for the draft. We could scoop him up real quick. But yeah, I mean, if we get Travis, that'll be lovely. Travis is a Dion-esque type of player. He can play
Hmm.
both sides of the ball. Obviously, he's known for his defensive prowess, but I mean, you could also set them in at being a wide receiver if you want to run anything crazy. So, I don't really have like
Agreed.
I'm kind of on the same page as you. I don't really have like any like insights on any more of these players, but I'm excited to see where these they all fall out, and hopefully, I just hope the Giants get their shit together, bro. That's just
Yeah,
my
I mean,
hope.
they just need to get like an integral piece to the puzzle for the Giants to just move in the right direction and have a
Yeah,
success. We just need to see a successful season from them, right?
yeah,
It hasn't been um a good last few years in
yeah. It's
that
been
regard.
terrible.
So, and you have a lot of great young talent, and it's time to just make the right decisions within the draft and get somebody that will kind of take you to the next level.
Yep. So we're approaching our last segment of the session. As always, elevated advice. It's co-sponsored by, or I should say It is sponsored by CoStar. CoStar, wherever you're at in the corporate world. I know you guys are probably head of CoStar, is probably on a yacht right now, but yo, you're sponsoring us.
Send us over the contract. We're
Send us
ready to
over
we're ready to speak about
yeah,
CoStar every single episode. Since we
yeah,
already do, and my
yeah,
John Hancock is pretty beautiful, so I'm ready to sign
yeah. You
whatever
know
you
what
need.
I mean? My John Hancock is also pretty beautiful. So anyway, let us know. But Dougie, what is your elevator
My
advice for
elevated
today?
advice to wrap up this awesome episode 8 is tell them what you need, then stop speaking. Very, very good. I think, you know, for me, reading between the lines of that, like tell them what you need and then stop speaking is speak your mind, be confident in the ways that you bring up how you're feeling and what you're doing and whatever relationships that you're having or talking to, always have open communication, always be there for the other individual, do the active listening that you need to do, which is stop speaking and allow them to speak as well. And just be open with yourself and your emotions and where you're going to be and where you're trying to get to. And those relationships will always have a positive result on your life. So that's my thoughts on that. What do you think about the elevated advice from my end and from CoStar today?
Just repeat it again real quick.
It is tell them what you need, then stop speaking.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it just stems from like the basis of you don't gotta really elaborate on how you feel. If you just give them, a basis of how you're feeling. And sometimes like going deep into the feeling process, just people are not really receptive in that regards. So I just think being concise, you know what I mean. Some people just don't need that explanation, especially because if it's how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of just like let people just kind of figure it out on their own, judging by what you had told them. So I definitely agree that sometimes it's like thing it's kind of smart to just keep things concise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And
My
what do you got on
co-star,
your coin?
is my co-star is acting up right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. But oh, there it is. I just went over there. My thing says make love to everything.
Make love to everything. Whoa, that was
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of weird too, but
Yeah.
I just think from an abstract point of view, don't take it literally, but from an abstract point of view, just put love into everything you do. Whatever you do, make sure like it's you put your 100% into it, your all your passion into it, all your creativity flow, your strategy, all that into it. And kind of it will come into fruition. That's what I'm taking out from this. What do you think?
No, yeah, I would go more of the abstract route of it and not just be like I'm making love to everything. Um,
Yeah,
I think it's more of, putting your heart and your soul and your passion into the things that you really want to do and make an impact on, and really, you know, think about it deep in your core on how you're feeling about what's going on, and how the world is and what you're trying to do for yourself to continue to be motivated, and put your whole heart into it,
yeah,
and love it, because that is the best way to get the most efficient results in the things that you want to do in your life, is to, feel care about everything that's going on with it. So like that's my thought process on your elevated advice as of today.
all right. Well, home team, let us know what your elevator advice is as well. Throw it in the comments. We would love to hear it. We love hearing what you guys think. You guys are an important part of the show and important part of the journey that we're on together. But that wraps it up for today's session. As always, you can catch us on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Western Time, Pacific Time. For my people on the West Side. And Dougie, as always, it's a pleasure. Home team, it's a pleasure. And I'll see you guys later.
CJ, home team, thank you all, and chat with you next week. Later.